Okay, good morning, everyone. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Good morning. Calling the roll for the Monday, March 28th Board of Control meeting. It is 11:08. Van Baker?
Here.
Dale Miller?
Here.
Jim Boyle serving as an alternate for Purnell Jones. Here. Nicole English serving as an alternate for Mike Dever.
Here.
Mike Chambers serving as an alternate for Ermin Budish.
Here.
Lee Tucker serving as an alternate for the Fiscal Officer.
Here.
Paul Porter?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, next on the agenda is the review of the minutes from March 21st. I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Boyle. Sorry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Is there any public comment?
No public comment.
No public comment. Let's move on to our first item.
First item, BC 2022-179, Department of Public Works, submitting an amendment to a contract with Union Industrial Contractors Incorporated for rehabilitation of Highland Road Bridge numbers 00.13, 00.31, 00.54, and 00.64 over Euclid Creek in the city of Euclid for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $494,915.14, recommending to accept construction as complete and in accordance with plans and specifications, requesting authority for the county treasurer to release the escrow account in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 153.63.
Nicole English with Public Works. So this is a final amendment for a construction project of Highland Road Bridges. This was a fairly complicated federal aid project that was delayed due to permitting with the Army Corps and notice to proceed from ODOT on the funding. So the negotiated claim here actually started around $2 million, and we've worked through with the contractor on what was actually allowed, and we did provide some backup information on Friday to questions as far as what is this home office overhead. But of the amendment, $50,000 is escalation of material, which again is allowed per their contract, and then $375,000 about is for that home office overhead. So essentially having to pay them for that home office during the delay. So the project did start in 2017. It was the construction was finalized last year. However, we've been negotiating this final term with them until that time. So the overall contract is in the $17 million range. So this is, while high, again, it is somewhat relative.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. Questions from the board?
Just briefly, so this is it, that project is done entirely?
Correct.
Got it. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Lee Tucker. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-180, Department of Public Works, recommending an award on requisition 7656 and enter into a contract with Quality Control Inspection Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $450,000 for construction management, support, inspection, and materials testing services for the Facilities Division for the period March 28th, 2022 through March 27th, 2025.
Nicole English again with Public Works. So this was an RFQ that we put out for submissions came in. We selected the highest ranking, which is QCI, and this supplements our facilities staff mainly for projects that are going on. They're kind of in the field inspection and reporting, and then any material testing that's required outside of the contractor we use through here. It's funded through the general fund, and then if it's related to projects that are on the CIP, it does get charged back to those projects specifically.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. Questions from the board? Seeing no questions, I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Boyle. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-181, Department of Public Works, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to the Safety Company, LLC, doing business as MTech Incorporated, in the amount not to exceed $310,564 for a state contract purchase of one replacement Johnston Standard Sweeper, and recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Tom Pavich, Public Works. This is requesting approval of a purchase order with MTech. It's purchase of a replacement street sweeper for our Road and Bridge Division. This is being procured through the State of Ohio contract, which was previously bid and competitively awarded.
Thank you, Mr. Pavich. Questions from the board? Mr. Boyle?
No, I was looking at the question. It sounds like it was a competitive bid
So state contracts, they're competitively bid through the state of Ohio. You know, that's for government entities to take advantage of competitively pricing contracts, purchase orders, materials, equipment, services. It wasn't bid internally to the county, but, you know, being a government entity, we could take advantage of those platforms.
Okay, any final questions? No. I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item?
Next item, BC 2022-182, Department of Public Works, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Bridge Associates LLC in the amount not to exceed $62,784 for the purchase and delivery of 115,200 U.S. flags for Veterans Services Commission, and recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Tom Pavage again, Public Works. This is the award recommendation for the annual U.S. flag purchase that we do on behalf of Veteran Services. This was a competitive informal bid. Dollar amounts exceeded the threshold. That's why you're seeing it as an exemption. But it was bid competitively. We had three proposals submitted. We had three additional vendors that stated reasons why they could not provide a bid proposal. We are making the award to the lowest bidder.
Questions on this item? Councilman Miller.
So, I remember this same contract being in the 40s in recent years. My question is whether we see this as a permanent increase or is this a temporary supply chain kind of problem, and that we hope the price is going to come down in the next year or two?
It's a complicated question to answer. I believe that the supply chain is completely broken, fragmented right now more than people realize. You know, 2020, we talked about toilet paper and sanitizer. Last year was lumber, this year's fuel, but there's more to the story. You know, we had three vendors that reached out to us, two of them that we've used in the past. Excuse me. One vendor said they were already maxed out on raw materials for the year, so they couldn't even get materials to provide 115 flags. Another vendor that we believe we used the last 2 years, and he said he has no labor. He has no labor to make these flags. So it's a difficult question. I'm hopeful the prices will come down, but in anticipation of, you know, seeing these results, we'll be doing a formal bid process, obviously, because we know we exceeded that threshold. We'll be starting much earlier, probably in a couple months for 2023. It's really tough to gauge if material prices are going to come down for this type of commodity. You know, you've got glue, which is a resin. You've got the wood dowels. You've got the cloth, which is polyurethane materials. There's a lot of raw materials, and it's really unknown. They may come down, but I don't know if it's going to come down that much.
Bottom line is that the cost of patriotism just went up.
Absolutely, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Yes, Councilwoman Baker?
I do want to say I appreciate that these are being made in Marietta, Georgia.
Absolutely.
And that I looked up Bridge Associates,
Yes.
and they do everything there.
That's correct.
So these are, in fact, made in U.S.
Absolutely.
And I
That's part of the specifications every year. They have to be made, American-made.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any final questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Baker. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item's approved.
Thank you.
Next item?
Next item, BC 2022-183, Department of Information Technology, submitting an amendment to a contract with Great Northern Consulting, LLC, for support and maintenance on 5 Sun Solaris Operations System T4 servers and remote support of Unix platforms for the period June 30th, 2015 through June 29th, 2022, to extend the time period to June 29th, 2024, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $225,712.
Good morning, Janelle Green, Department of IT. This is an amendment to the contract with Great Northern Consulting. They provide support and maintenance on the licensing for our Sun Solaris servers, which is an older technology, and also supply direct support in terms of helping us manipulate the data that's on those servers. We want to amend this contract, for 2 years in order to allow us the time to transition away from these servers. They are older technology, so we want to get them onto newer servers. We have a lot of complicated data and systems that are on there currently, but we, again, plan on transitioning them off that, and this is a 2-year contract to allow us the time to do so.
Okay, thank you, Janelle. Questions from the board on this item?
one.
Yes, please.
So are we paying a premium price in order to only extend it for 2 years?
No,
No.
no, it's, the price of the contract did go up a few $100s a month, which is kind of in line with what
Okay.
most IT contracts we have. So, no, we're not paying a premium price for it.
And when we change in 2 years, I'm sorry, what did you say we were going to?
We want to migrate over to newer servers, newer technologies. With this technology, probably is outdated, probably more than about 10 to 15 years. So we do want to have the opportunity to transition over. We have a lot of transition plans that are happening right now,
Okay.
but this will give us 2 years to do so.
And if I may, is that a huge expense that you're talking about?
No.
Transitioning?
No,
No.
outside of the equipment purchase, yes, but in terms of the migration of the data, no.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any final questions? Councilman Miller?
Will the new servers cost more money and to what extent?
Newer servers, I don't have any quotes in front of me, but they're probably in the dozens of thousands of dollars. But we are doing some of that as part of with the ARPA funding, and there'll be some other plans for that coming up soon.
And do we buy them or rent them?
We buy them.
How long is a server supposed to last?
Servers last a little bit longer than our normal plan. Normally, what we've had for transitioning from older technologies about 10 years. These we try to keep them longer than that. Around 10 to 15 years we try to keep them. But it's all about technology and what kind of support we can have. So if a manufacturer no longer supports that technology and the licenses that we utilize on those servers are no longer supported, then we would have to upgrade to a newer technology.
And it sounds like with these existing servers that you've accomplished the 10 to 15 years, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, these are significantly older. Yes.
Okay, fine.
Okay, any final questions? Mr. Boyle?
Yeah, so what exactly is Great Northern? Are they handling the migration or the
No.
legacy aspects?
They're handling the legacy aspects, just keeping it operational is what they're doing. So they have support and maintenance of the licenses that are on there, but also the person we had that was on staff that actually manipulated the data and maintenance them every day retired a couple of years ago. And so, no one really knows that technology anymore. So we had to hire someone that could assist us for that.
Well, okay, but so as I look at the listing, we're on the 5th renewal of this contract
Yes.
for a legacy system that I think, as you described, the migration of it is not, I think it's not that deep, it's not that big. I mean, I assume it's difficult, but it's not an overwhelming task, correct? I mean,
It takes a lot of time and resources, but we have them for other transitions, such as transferring from the mainframe. Now that we have ERP up and running, we have to transition data off there. So it's about the internal resources that we have available to do that work.
well, so what is the plan? I mean, we're giving you 2 more years, well, you're asking for 2 more years to migrate the stuff into the new system. I mean, what is the plan?
Well, I'll have to defer to our network engineer department to further answer your question. I don't feel comfortable with
All right, no,
answering
that's
that
fine,
question here.
and I appreciate that. So if you could just circle back after the meeting.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, it strikes me that if it's something that can be accomplished, I don't want to say de minimis, but I mean, we're given 2 more years to migrate this stuff, and I don't know, I guess it's just an allocation of resources, prioritization.
Mhm.
Okay, if you can get me that answer later, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please.
In taking a look at what do you call it here? The list of amendments over time, the history, it seems like I'm not quite sure I understand it. So in 2015, it was 200,000, and then we go from 17 to 19 for 57,000.
Well, that was that was an increase due to when we had the person retired. So we had to increase for that time period of that contract.
Okay. And then just a couple of, let's see, less than a year, 22,000. And then it jumps to 208. And I just I mean,
Right,
are
so.
those just different circumstances?
Right, so the original intent of the contract was to supply support and maintenance on that. So then in the midst of that contract, we had someone retire. So we
Okay.
needed to have that support, that backup.
Okay.
And so that's how the change has taken over. So we have to initially account for the licensing and support, and then account for the time and material support that we had to be added to that contract.
And then as we continue with another 22, that was another something unusual, not really licensing.
Correct.
Okay. And then when we jump to the 208,000, that was probably a licensing.
Right, so we started combining them as a whole amendment to the contract.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Councilman Miller, please.
I have a technology 101 question. What does a server look like and what does it do?
A server is a piece of technology that houses any kind of application or database that we utilize in order to do the things that we do. So if we, for example, the ERP is not on this server, but is on a server and allows us to get access to that database or that application to do the work that we do. It houses the memory of or the memory of that data in order to allow us to be able to save and archive and be able to access the transactions that have occurred. So that's what it does. So if you are working from home, or many employees are working from home, you need to have a secure connection to the county servers in order to do the work that we do. So if you're working from home, you log in via a VPN. Here at the building, we do a secure internet connection and to allow that to happen. So it allows certain people with the access rights to go in and to be able to use the applications that the county uses to function every day.
That'll do for now.
Okay.
Put me on the spot there.
Who was this person that retired and when?
Oh, geez. I don't remember his name.
But it was 2019?
Yeah.
So what troubles me, and again, look, it is what it is, and we'll deal with it moving forward. This is pre-COVID, so COVID was not even a whiff in our mind, and it troubles me that there was no legacy planning in place for the continuation of the operation based on somebody that evidently retired, so was of retirement age. And while look, we'll deal with it in front of us now. I sincerely hope that the IT department has a handle on, making sure that there are not tasks within the realm of importance of this that are left to one single individual that he or she may walk out the door today or tomorrow, especially in the IT field where, the ability to maintain people here is really difficult. And so
absolutely.
I'm cautiously optimistic that it's not a question, it's more of a comment, that is something that you guys are factoring in and are cognizant of.
Right. So that's one of the things when we look at when we have a transition planning. So we try to make sure that when somebody is leaving, or in case of major projects, that knowledge transfer occurs. So that's one of the things.
That needs to happen before the person leaves.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So that's what we're cognizant of and making sure we have the documentation. In 2019, we had a variety of different transitions. We had our leadership leave. And we had a lot of different things that occurred in 2019 that made it kind of difficult for us to move forward. So knowing that this happened, we scrambled to find a solution in place, and this has worked for us. And we would like to amend that contract to allow us to finally transition away from that.
Jim, that's going to be a problem we're all going to have for a long time.
Well, yeah,
I mean, no matter what you do, it's going to come up and.
But it doesn't eliminate the need for internal planning to achieve those goals. And you're right. I mean, there are certain departments within the county structure that are absolutely under the gun, IT being one of them for personnel. I get that. But this happened in 2019.
No, I agree. Okay.
Move for approval.
Move for approval. I will second it by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-184, Department of Information Technology, submitting an amendment to a contract with Harris, McKessie, and Brennan Incorporated, doing business as HMB, for maintenance and software support on the WriteFax Enterprise Fax Manager server for the period June 1st, 2017 through May 31st, 2022, to extend the time period to May 31st, 2023, for an assignment and assumption of services to BPS Ventures 2 LLC, doing business as BPS Technologies, effective upon contract signature of all parties, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $26,152.57.
Janelle Green, Department of IT. This is an amendment to a contract to allow for the transition of ownership and assignment of the contract from HMB over to BPS Technologies or BPS Ventures 2. And then also to extend the licensing for our Right Fax Enterprise Fax Manager until 2023. I know in the prior or advanced questions, there was a question about the need for faxing, and unfortunately, it's still prevalent. I know you're gonna have something.
No, I'm on your side on this one. I was stunned by that when I was over there. There is an absolute need for and I'm surprised by that. But from my time over at the court system, 100%. I mean,
Yes.
it is certainly an acceptable means of communication in realms in the county. So no, I'm on your side on this one.
Good. But yes, there is still a need, from HHS case management, communications from doctors' offices to HR. I know that we've had some legal documents come via fax to IT, so there's still a need for it. So they're connected to some individual systems, but also the larger copiers that are around the buildings. There's usually at least one in a department that has a fax number tied to it. So we do still use them.
So I'm also persuaded your response was sufficiently persuasive.
Good.
Okay, I won't say anything. Make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-185, Department of Information Technology, submitting an amendment to a contract with Brown Enterprise Solutions Incorporated for the renewal of 20 Tableau Creator licenses and 8 Tableau Server Core licenses for the period May 26, 2021 through May 25, 2022, to extend the time period to May 25, 2023, to expand the scope of services to add 87 Tableau Viewer licenses effective upon contract signature of all parties, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $84,555.16.
Janelle Green, Department of IT. So the Tableau is a report writing tool usually for business intelligence analytics that IT has used for a long while. And so we are expanding the request for this amendment to include 87 viewer licenses. We are in the process of creating some dashboards. I know there's some through ERP, largely through HHS's case management system, which is why they have the bigger chunk of this particular funding source that would allow viewers to see some of those dashboards and the data being presented from various systems.
Thank you, Janelle. Questions on this item? Please.
And I just recently learned about Tableau. So, and I guess the question I would have is how secure are we in expanding licenses for others to be able to view outside of what it is that they were used to viewing? So.
It is super secure because it's still going through our servers, which, before I was talking about how it's accessed through our secure channels.
Right.
It's still secure, and it is read-only.
It is read-only.
It's read-only, so there's nobody can have the ability to write or change anything in the system. So we're confident in that, no one will be going in and tweaking any data. It's just to have display purposes.
Is there any confidential information that someone who never was able to read only before that now has access to?
No, they would be restricted by user type, and so what kind of systems that they would be looking at. A lot of it is like procurement data to show where your items are in the system,
Right.
and those kinds of things. So it's not anything that would be, give someone access to something that they shouldn't see.
Okay, good, thank you.
Mr. Boyle? No. No? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I would like that noted for the record.
Seeing no further questions, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-186, Department of Information Technology, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to MNJ Technologies Direct Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $11,600 for a state contract purchase of 5 additional Eaton uninterruptible power supply towers, and recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Janelle Green, Department of IT. A UPS is a kind of like a battery, essentially, that we connect servers and other technology to, that gives a temporary power source in the event, there's some kind of blip in the power. So we would like to purchase 5 of them, and we utilize the state term contract in order to procure these particular UPSs.
Okay, Janelle, questions from the board?
If I may,
Please.
are these replacement batteries?
These, we did see that there was, they are new. They wouldn't be replacing. There was something we didn't have in place in these particular closets.
So you're taking 5 new batteries, putting them in places that we never had backup before?
Correct.
And are these because it's, I don't know, highly,
It's good practice to do that. Just, again, these UPSs are not supplying power for a long time because you want a generator for that. Usually UPSs supply maybe power for like an hour. I've seen some for a couple of hours. It's just something that's a good practice to make sure that we can still function.
are there other places that are vulnerable that you'd like to see backup power to?
I'm pretty sure we have UPSs all over the place. Again, I'll have to defer to my team to see if there's any other vulnerabilities, but I know that we have a UPS maintenance contract that's coming before you in the next couple of weeks to make sure that we do have these in place should we have some any kind of lack in coverage for that.
And this would be primarily storms, lightning?
Right, some
those
kind of,
type of
any reason
things,
for
pole
something.
knocked down.
Yeah, something temporarily. I mean, if the pole knocked down, it'd be several hours. But
That's
this is just, 45 minutes to an hour, something happened. And
Okay.
we can just kind of continue low power to those servers.
If I may,
Please.
for those most vulnerable that we have, that we can't have any, we have more than just backup power?
Yes, so we have a lot of things, data that's not stored directly in a county building. So we have secure data centers
Yeah.
here in Cleveland, also in Columbus, that will supply backup to us. So there's nothing that we have directly here. We
Okay.
are accounted for that, and also we're beefing up our disaster recovery.
Right.
So, and using the usage of the ARPA funding. So we are definitely making sure that we have redundancy all the way around.
If I may,
Please.
if that's in place and we beef up all that we need to, are these batteries still going to be needed in the
We
future?
should, again, it's still good practice to have those
Yes.
in place.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any final questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Baker. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item approved.
Thank
Next
you.
item.
Next, item BC 2022-187, Fiscal Department submitting an amendment to a contract with Protiviti Government Services Incorporated through its staffing division, Robert Half Government, for temporary staffing services for the period March 1st, 2019 through February 28th, 2022, to extend the time period through February 28th, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $400,000.
Good morning, Lee Tucker for the Fiscal Office. We're asking for an extension for time and dollar. We're asking for a year extension on our current Protiviti contract and for an amount not to exceed $400,000. This contract is needed for staffing assistance, not just financial reporting, but mainly financial reporting, but also all areas of the fiscal department, including treasury and transfer and recording. Last year, we spent approximately $194,000 on temporary services, and it included the use of three financial reporting resources and about 5 or 6 data entry clerks that assisted the transfer and recording department. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Lee.
Regarding-
Please, Councilwoman Baker.
Yeah, it's good to see that the question was asked, is this the last time we expect this contract to be needed? And the answer was yes?
No, for the ERP, related to the ERP. But we should always probably have a temporary staffing contract in place, regardless of whether we use it or not. We need to have something in place because we don't know how long it takes us once a person like resigns or gets promoted to another area. We don't know how long it would take us to get new resources in. We've had a fiscal specialist 2 position open for almost a year. And so we decided to fill that with this temporary until we are able to hire somebody. So it's just through a comedy of errors. We know we've given somebody an offer, they've rejected the offer, and so we had to go back out. So this will help mitigate some of those instances.
Oh, so what do you believe, putting the exceptions beside, and I understand needing this so that we can cover those exceptions, but for the rule, what do you think we would be saving in expenses? I mean, it's 400,000 for 1
Yeah,
year.
and I doubt very seriously that we would use that amount, considering we spent 340,000 in over 2 years.
Okay.
So 400,000 is really, that would be like a disaster case scenario, considering that through the history of this contract, last year was a heavy year, but we usually spend between 125 and 150, and that's using 2 or 3 resources. So we don't expect to use that many resources. So in a real case scenario, because we're saving on basically on benefit cost, and we probably would save, it probably would be not a whole lot of dollars per person, maybe like $10,000 per person over, over the course of a 6-month contract. So it's not like a huge savings because, I guess, of the market. But again, we don't expect to have any after we hire the 2 accountant twos that we have open, which we hope to get on board by no later than the end of July. We don't expect to use this contract through the remainder of the term, hopefully, knock on wood.
Thank you. And is there a reason why we're asking for 400,000 if we think we're going to spend about 125 to 150?
Yeah, so this is just in case we can't get our bank reconciliation process working properly, then we have to continue to manually do this process, and the manual process is the one that eats up a lot of resources. So we expect to have this in place hopefully soon, but if not, this is the worst case scenario where we would need to keep those 3 additional resources beyond the time of us hiring somebody.
Okay. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Any additional questions? Mr. Boyle?
What, so we're bringing the total cost to 950, so we were at 550 before? I mean, I'm trying to figure out where.
Yeah, that's over, and I had to determine.
No, I know, it listed from 2019, so did we
yeah.
use up all the 550
We
already?
did.
And that was only from 2019. It looks like it started in 2019. So I'm assuming that there was more work that we needed at the outset.
Right, and I need to double check that, but
Perfect.
yeah,
No, that's
that sounds
fine.
like that's correct.
That's exactly what I thought.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any final questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item is approved. Next item?
Next item, BC 2022-188, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a master contract with various providers for trauma-informed residential treatment services for the period October 1st, 2018 through September 30th, 2021, to extend the time period to September 30th, 2022, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $82,484, with Belfair Jewish Children's Bureau in the amount not to exceed $20,000, with Grace Haven Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $22,484, with Keystone Richland Center LLC, doing business as Foundations for Living in the amount not to exceed $20,000, with the Village Network in the amount not to exceed $20,000, and to remove Ohio Guidestone effective September 30th, 2021.
Good morning, Terry Brown from Juvenile Court, seeking approval for an amendment to a master contract for trauma-informed residential services to extend the time period and to add additional funds. This item is late, and a timeline was provided explaining that it's common practice for the final grant award letter to arrive after the contract has expired. In addition to that, we had a vendor take some additional time in getting the required documents back.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board? Please.
So given that we only have, and I think we estimated about 6 months left of this, is nothing has been paid, or, I mean, how are we making sure that this program continues?
I don't believe that the services have been rendered until this has been approved, but I can confirm that for you later. But the timeline itself is established by the grant funders. So we will have to reapply next year.
And do you have enough time in order
Later this year, yes.
to finish this program, given it's halfway through it?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Okay, any additional questions? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-189, Prosecutor's Office, submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to MNJ Technologies Direct Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $5,976 for a state contract purchase of 2 Cisco network modules and recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
No one from the prosecutors? Janelle, you want to take a stab?
I made no comment about the prosecutor's office.
I was like, uh-oh. Let me see, I wasn't really informed about this. You said it was Cisco items?
Yeah.
So usually we use Cisco as far as our standard technology for networking and things like that. So I would assume that the prosecutors needed to upgrade from, we all know the disaster that they had earlier this year and last year. So I would assume that they're using this to ensure that they have access to their servers and network. And probably they're also converting over to our redundancy that we have at Blue Bridge. So these will go to assist them with that.
It was also state bid, so, okay. If you feel comfortable, board, do you have any questions? Yeah.
As it states in the backup, it said these hardware modules are required to increase the switch capacity for 2 of our production Cisco switches from 16 to 24 ports. Does that make sense to you?
Well, yeah, increasing from 16 to 24 ports, it allows, on the back end, in a server closet, it's an increase of a number of things that can be plugged in and access to a server. So it goes from 16, it's usually not enough. I've seen 24 to 48 in
And
a
it says
server
it's
closet.
for 2 Cisco network modules. Does all that make sense to you?
Yeah, that would be for networking to access to servers in data closets. So yes, that would make sense.
Okay. If we feel comfortable, then I will make a motion to approve this item. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Thank you, Janelle.
Thanks.
Next item?
Next item, BC 2022-190, Sheriff's Department, submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to Verizon Communications Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $20,000 for cellular services for 105 devices for law enforcement staff for the period April 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2022, and recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, this is Philip Lilly from the Sheriff's Department. We are requesting approval of a not-to-exceed purchase order with Verizon Communications to provide cellular services for our law enforcement devices. This purchase order is just a stopgap to get us through until the IT department issues the countywide cellular services contract.
Okay. Thank you, Philip. Questions from the board?
Just one.
Please.
So we're just filling a gap for 3 months?
Correct, this is just to provide service until the new contract is in place. Sure.
Yeah.
Janelle from IT. So we did do an RFP for these services, just so you know, and it's sitting with law right now. We're, working on contract negotiations, but this was in cooperation between us and the Sheriff's Department. So we did select vendors for this. So again, just in the contract negotiations.
And is that contract going to begin then 7/1/2022?
We hope to have it start sooner than that. So,
This is not to exceed, so it'll probably be less than 20,000.
yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Seeing no further questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Baker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-191, Sheriff's Department, submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to Excel Canine Services Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $10,800 for the purchase of 1 narcotics detection and patrol-trained police service dog and related training services for the period February 28, 2022 through February 27, 2023, and recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, this is Philip Lilly from the Sheriff's Department. This request is for us to contract with Excel Canine Services to purchase a narcotics-trained canine. This new dog will be replacing one of our canines, which is set for retirement. So it's just to bring it in the pipeline.
I won't say it. Okay, questions from the board? No PERS questions, Mr. Boyle? Or?
No, I have no questions. I'm in favor of the dog. I think it's well trained. I mean, I've seen him around.
I agree. I do. Okay.
I'm surprised at how,
I was going to say the same. I'm surprised at the price.
Be careful what you ask for.
Staff at Doug's. I had so much fun.
Seeing no further comments or questions, I will make a motion to approve this item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item approved. Next item, please.
Next item, BC 2022-192, Department of Health and Human Services, Community Initiatives Division, Office of Reentry, submitting an amendment to a contract with Case Western Reserve University School of Law for development and operation of a law school clinic to serve formerly incarcerated individuals in connection with the Department of Justice Innovations in Reentry Initiative for the period September 15th, 2019 through September 14th, 2021, to extend the time period to September 30th, 2022, to amend contract language regarding commercial general liability insurance coverage limits, effective upon contract signature of all parties, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $127,040.
Good morning. Fred Bollethan with the Office of Reentry. This is an amendment to a contract that was originally created in conjunction with a federal grant from the Bureau of Justice Administration, which was a 3-year grant which was to expire at the end of September of 2021. Early on in 2021, there was discussion with the BJA about the possibility of extending because of issues related to COVID. But we did not get that finalized and did not actually get approval of that until well after the contract and the grant had expired. It was a retroactive extension. So during that time, we were not able to amend the contract, not knowing if we were going to get the extension, nor could we send it out to be bid between the two law schools that would be the possibility of continuing the legal clinic. So what we are asking for is an extension of an amendment to extend the contract till the end of September this year, which coincides with the final end of the grant, and during which time we will seek proposals from both of the law schools, to see which, if either of them are still interested, and proceed with a new contract then. We didn't want to extend the contract longer than the grant period, but we wanted to do that. We will do that. I'll be happy to answer any questions on the condition that you asked them very loudly, because my hearing is not very good.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Yes, please.
So this contract ended September 2021, and we started the process 9/13/2021. So is there a reason why we started at the time that it began?
Right, there, I cannot explain that other than someone put the date in wrong. We had the original contract that ended on 9/14 or so. I'm not sure why that date appeared, but
Well, it was inevitable that we were going to be late on this because we started on the date that it ended, right? So was there, I mean, what, were you concerned about that? That this ended 9/14/2021, and the start process was 9/13/2021. So it was inevitable that this was going to come late.
right, we were not able to, I say, I don't know why that date was, should have been 9/30 on the original contract, and again, we could not really do anything until we knew what the status of was for the extension of the grant.
Right.
So we were sort of on hold, not being able to do an amendment, not being able to do a bid. If we weren't going to get the extension, we wanted to do a bid. And so we were in that limbo period.
And the same question as before, 6 months now we are into this contract or amendment. 6 months have passed since this was originally to begin, and we have 6 months left. Can we
Right.
still, first of all, any services been, was there a stop in services? And can 6 months that are left be enough?
Well, we did have a problem. We did not get the extension on the grant until almost the end of November. And then we started the the process of the amendment and getting the amendment signed by the vendor, and then getting all of the necessary documentation. There were difficulties with their insurer getting a copy of their COI. They keep having questions, and from what I understood from Paul, there was not unique to this contract. And eventually, what we were able to do was there was a different contract with Case, and we were able to get the insurance certificate from them. We're still waiting to get it from
No.
the people of the law clinic. So we do apologize for that. And in this contract, we are also, because the funds probably would not have lasted till the end of this period, we are adding funds from the Health and Human Services levy to make sure that the clinic operates through the end of the contract period in the end of September. And we have begun the process to look for proposals for starting on October 1st.
So if I may, just for clarification, did the services start at the beginning, 9/13/21? Have we been providing those services? And not have gotten the process done, but still
We
providing?
just put the continuation date from the time that the other contract ended. They have been providing services. They know that there was no guarantee once the grant
Okay.
funds were moved.
So
were
they're
used
waiting
up,
for
that
their
they
mo-
would get paid. There was the hope and anticipation, but they have not been paid anything from the HHS levy funds up until this point.
So services continued, they're waiting for their payment.
Or, I'm not sure if they're even waiting for their payment because they still may have some of the funds from the
Left.
grant. So I'm not sure, I'm not the budget person, so I'm not sure about that, but I do know that they have not been paid anything after 9/14.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, any final questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item is approved. Right, moving on to consent agenda.
We're on consent items, BC 2022-193 through 196.
Please let me know if you have any questions. If not, we can move forward.
If I may, on the 194,
Mhm.
same again with only having 1 year from 9/30/2021 to 9/30/2022. That extension, same problem?
Yes, it's the same thing with the grant. But this one, we're not asking for any additional funds. But yeah, it's the exact same grant, with the same issues.
Same circumstances, okay, thank you.
Just had a balance carried over, probably. Yep. Okay. Seeing no further questions, I will make a motion to approve today's consent agenda items as listed. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Moving on to other business.
There's no other business
Is there any public comment?
and no public comment.
Okay. Make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Lee Tucker. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.